Daniel's Wild West Adventures. Day 1, The Last Train to the West. The sun was setting over the dusty town. A young cowboy named Daniel stood beside the old train station. He held a map in his hand and dreamed of finding gold. The desert was dangerous, and many travelers had disappeared along the way. But Daniel did not hesitate. He felt a quiet courage growing inside him. As the last train arrived, he stepped forward. This was his chance. He was ready for adventure. Day 2, crossing the desert. Daniel rode into the scorching desert. The sun burned bright and the wind blew sand into his eyes. He felt weary, but he kept moving. A sudden storm appeared, dark clouds rolling across the sky. He used his map to find shelter. Every step was dangerous, but his courage never left him. By evening, he found a small oasis, a place to rest and drink water. Day 3, the Rusty Bridge. The next morning, Daniel reached a rickety bridge. It spanned a fast-moving river. He had to be careful. One wrong step, and he could fall into the water. He took a deep breath and stepped onto the bridge. The wooden boards creaked under his boots, but he crossed safely and continued his adventure. Day 4, the Lone Coyote. Night fell over the desert and Daniel set up camp. A coyote howled in the distance, its voice echoing through the quiet sands. Daniel stayed cautious as he unpacked his gear. Shadows moved, and the desert was silent except for the coyote's cry. He whispered a story to himself, feeling less lonely under the stars. Day 5, Hidden Canyon. The next day, Daniel discovered a hidden canyon. Tall cliffs surrounded a secret valley. He climbed carefully and found a clue carved into the rock. It pointed to a place where treasure might be hidden. Excited, Daniel decided to explore the canyon, hoping to uncover its secret. Day 6, Bandits on the Trail. While riding through the valley, Daniel saw a group of bandits. They had set up an ambush on the trail. He needed to escape quickly. He stayed alert and guided his horse along a narrow path. The bandits chased him, but Daniel's courage helped him get to safety. Day 7, Friendly Saloon. After a long ride, Daniel reached a saloon in a small town. He met a stranger who offered help and advice. They had a short conversation about the journey ahead. The stranger seemed helpful and trustworthy, and Daniel felt grateful. He rested for the night, ready for the next adventure. Day 8, the Stolen Map. Daniel rode along a narrow trail when he noticed something was wrong. His precious map was stolen. A clever thief had sneaked into his camp while he slept. Panic rose in Daniel's chest, but he didn't hesitate. He decided to chase the thief immediately. Every step was full of danger, but his courage kept him moving forward. Through rocky hills and dense forest, he followed the thief's tracks. Finally, near a small creek, Daniel spotted the thief trying to hide the map under a bush. With a swift but careful move, Daniel grabbed the map back. The thief ran away and Daniel let him go. He had his map again, safe and sound. Day 9, Campfire Stories. That evening, Daniel set up camp under the stars. He lit a small campfire and the flames danced in the night. He sat down and began telling tales of his journey so far. The crackling fire and the quiet desert made the stories feel more real. Even though he was alone, he felt comfort in speaking aloud. The night passed slowly, and Daniel drifted to sleep, dreaming of new adventures. Day 10, Mountain Pass. The next morning, Daniel began climbing a steep mountain pass. The path was narrow and loose rocks made every step dangerous. He took a deep breath, steadying himself, and continued to climb carefully. The wind howled around the cliffs, but his courage did not falter. From the top, he could see the desert stretching endlessly below. Daniel felt a mix of fear and excitement, knowing new adventures awaited. Day 11, River Crossing. Daniel reached a wide, fast-moving river. The current was strong, and crossing it would be dangerous. He found some logs and tied them together to make a small raft. Balancing carefully, he stepped onto the raft and began to paddle across. Water splashed around him, and his heart raced with excitement. Finally, he reached the other side safely, ready to continue his adventure. Day 12, Desert Mirage. The sun burned high in the sky as Daniel crossed the endless desert. Suddenly, he saw a shimmering mirage on the horizon. It looked like an oasis with water and palm trees, but he knew it could be an illusion. Thirsty and tired, he approached cautiously, hoping it was real. As he got closer, the mirage vanished, leaving only sand and heat. Daniel sighed but didn't lose hope, determined to continue his journey. Day 13, Abandoned Mine. Daniel discovered an old abandoned mine hidden in the mountains. The entrance was dark and cold, and the air smelled of dust and stone. He stepped inside carefully, listening to the echo of his footsteps. Shadows danced on the walls, making the place feel mysterious. Even though it was scary, Daniel decided to explore the mine, hoping to find clues about the hidden treasure. Day 14, The Rustler. Daniel rode through a dusty valley when he spotted a rustler stealing cattle. The thief moved quickly, trying to escape unnoticed. Daniel grabbed his rope and spurred his horse into a fast chase. He stayed alert, keeping his eyes on the rustler while avoiding obstacles. The wind rushed past him as he galloped across the plains. His heart raced, but his courage gave him strength to catch the thief. Day 15, Hidden Gold. After days of searching, Daniel finally found signs of hidden gold in a secluded valley. Sunlight glinted off rocks, revealing a treasure buried among the stones. Excitement filled his heart as he carefully dug and uncovered the shining chest. He felt joy and satisfaction, knowing his hard work and courage had paid off. Day 16, Stormy Night. That night, dark clouds covered the sky, and a storm rolled over the mountains. Lightning flashed and thunder shook the valley. Daniel hurried to set up shelter, protecting his supplies from the heavy rain. The wind howled and branches fell around him, but he stayed alert. He wrapped himself in a blanket and listened to the storm, feeling a mix of fear and awe. Despite the danger, he knew the storm would pass, and his journey would continue. Day 17, Lost Trail. The next morning, Daniel realized the trail he had been following was gone. The path was lost, hidden under sand and rocks. He pulled out his compass and tried to find the correct direction. Every step was uncertain, and he felt confused. Daniel stopped, looked around, and took a deep breath. He reminded himself to stay calm and use his courage to continue the journey. Day 18, Desert Oasis. After a long, tiring journey, Daniel finally spotted a small oasis in the desert. Palm trees and water shimmered in the sunlight, offering a place to rest. He drank slowly and felt refreshed, enjoying the cool shade. The relief of finding water after so much heat made him smile. Daniel knew he must continue his journey soon, but for now, he savored the calm of the oasis and the beauty of nature. Day 19, Canyon Echo. Daniel entered a deep canyon with steep walls on both sides. When he called out, his voice returned as a loud echo bouncing off the rocks. The canyon was quiet except for the sound of flowing water below. He felt a sense of awe at the towering cliffs and the natural beauty around him. Careful with each step, he navigated the rocky path, aware that one misstep could be dangerous. The canyon reminded him of the power and mystery of nature. Day 20, Desert Storm. Daniel was crossing the open desert when a sudden storm appeared. Sand whipped around him, and the wind was strong enough to push him off balance. He covered his face and sought shelter behind a large rock. The sky was dark, and the desert became a swirling blur of sand and dust. Even though the storm was frightening, Daniel stayed calm and waited patiently. When it finally passed, he continued his journey, grateful for his resilience. Day 21, Mountain Cave. After the desert storm, Daniel found shelter in a dark mountain cave. The entrance was hidden behind tall rocks, making it safe from the wind and sand. Inside, the cave was cool and quiet, with small stalactites hanging from the ceiling. He lit a small lantern to see, revealing ancient markings on the walls. Daniel explored carefully, fascinated by the mystery around him. He knew this cave might hold secrets of the Old West, and his adventure was far from over. Day 22, Hidden Passage. While exploring the mountain cave, Daniel discovered a narrow hidden passage behind a pile of rocks. It was dark and mysterious, but he felt curious and ready to explore. Using his lantern, he carefully stepped inside. The walls were damp and the air smelled of earth and stone. As he moved forward, he noticed strange symbols carved into the rocks. Daniel realized this passage might lead to something ancient and important. Day 23, Treasure Chamber. At the end of the hidden passage, Daniel found a large treasure chamber. Golden light reflected off coins, jewels, and ancient artifacts stacked high. His eyes widened in awe at the incredible sight. He carefully stepped forward, making sure not to disturb the delicate artifacts. Daniel realized all his hard work, courage, and patience had led him to this moment. The treasure was more than gold. It was a reward for his adventure and determination. Day 24, Safe Return. With the treasure secured, Daniel began his journey back home. The desert, mountains, and valleys now felt familiar and welcoming. Along the way, he reflected on his adventures, the storms, the rivers, and the hidden caves. Every challenge had taught him patience, courage, and resilience. As he approached his hometown, Daniel felt joy and pride. He knew that this journey had changed him, and new adventures awaited in the future.